Now. Okay.
Okay, cool. Good morning, everyone. Um, my name is Nicole, and I'm really excited to be here just to talk to you a little bit more about our programs um, that fit within the intern, volunteer, and research stream. So I know that these are very uncertain times and there's a lot of stress. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of sharing a little bit more about our programs and the experience that they can help you to gain, but also how you can kind of contribute to these programs to your own development, but also while contributing and supporting the work of organizations within the sustainable development world. So I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes telling you a little bit more about GVI and the kind of programs that you can get involved in with us. Okay, so if you haven't heard about GVI before, our mission is quite simple. We want to build a global network of people united by their passion to make a difference. And just a little bit more about us. We were founded over 20 years ago, and we operate award-winning international internship and service learning programs. What's unique about GVI is that we focus around global issues that are framed around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And to that point, we partner and support local and international NGOs, government organizations, such as the ones listed on here, but also work with a lot of social enterprises, any organizations that are kind of contributing to making an impact around the world. We also, because we've been doing this for over 20 years, we have over 30,000 participants, and we have a very active alumni community as well to engage with, to continue building that network. Yeah, and so key to what we do is our impact. And so all of our programs and projects have short, mid, and long-term objectives that are built around these SDGs. And the SDGs are a set of coherent goals that focus on sustainable development. So economic, social, and environmental. And our main goal is based on making viable changes in all the communities we work in. So we run responsible and sustainable award-winning projects, and that the impact of our work is life-changing. So we aim to impact local communities, the partner organizations that we work with, and also the volunteers or interns that are contributing to our programs. And really anyone can join these programs. Because we are a global organization and we have participants from all ages who contribute to our important impact and the success of our projects. Okay. So we have over 14 destinations around the world, and in some of these locations we have more than one hub. So for example, in South Africa, where I am from, we have a base in Cape Town, where we do focus on community development, but we also have a hub in Limpopo where we focus on wildlife. And so I'm going to touch on our virtual internships for the majority of this time. GVI, like many organizations, and particularly those in the experiential education world, we were quite impacted by the coronavirus outbreak. And we had to put quite a number of our hubs into hibernation. And so, however, at the same time, our partners still needed us more than ever. And so one way that we're continuing to support them is through our virtual internship programs, which is something that we launched in June this year, and that we've just been very excited by the success of the way in which we can continue to support our partners virtually. So we work with the community partners from all around the world, but we focus them around 8 subject areas, broadly broken up into environmental conservation and community development programs. So environmental conservation, we've got marine and wildlife conservation, and of course, climate crisis and clean energy, and environmental and corporate sustainability. In the community development front, we have education for development, global public health, social economic development, and then human rights and access to justice. Now, these are very broad subject areas. And so the internship work actually focuses on projects. And these projects have six focus areas. And this also allows us to incorporate if you are, for example, a business student, a marketing student, a humanities student, and you want to kind of use your background, experience, and skills, you can still contribute it to these subject areas, even though you don't have any kind of previous engagement with marine conservation. And so the six sub-focus areas that we have within these subject areas are operations and program management. So how to improve the running of the program or the organization, data analysis and research, marketing, media and communications, because of course in this day and time, social media, engaging and engaging with your communities is very important in a virtual capacity. Of course, fundraising, very important for a lot of our organizations, law advocacy and policy, and then of course, multi-focus. And some of the project work that you will be completing does cover a number of these areas, but it does allow you to get a broad range of experience across these, the different subject areas. Okay, so how our internships are structured is that you will be provided with a project brief, and around this project brief, we have a number of supporting components. So 10% of your time is spent on orientation and project guidance. So this includes a project briefing, an overview of the internship and the various components of it. You will also have weekly supervisor check-ins to gauge your progress and how you're doing. And we also have partner meetings where you engage with senior members of the organization that you're working with to ask them questions, to learn more about the organization, and just to make sure that you're kind of understand fully and holistically what is expected of you. There is also guided and facilitated learning. We provide online courses such as careers and sustainable development, and then a specialization course that equips you with some tools and skills to implement the subject area, the project in the subject area. We also provide a location presentation so that you have context, cultural context for the work that you're doing. And then also, of course, because it's not just all about work, we also do a cultural enrichment component so that you get a better sense of the location that you're in. And then very importantly, we do also have masterclasses. So you can learn from subject matter experts in the subject area, or you can learn from someone who is involved in a unique component of the within the subject area. And this is just a 90-minute class where they talk about their experience, their career journey, what they did to get to this point, what is important to know about this area, and then 30 minutes for just conversation and discussion, which is usually gets quite interesting. And then, of course, the bulk of the project work is independent and group learning. So you will be spending a lot of your time kind of completing the project, but there is a component for group engagement as well. So there are peer discussions where we talk about unique topics, and you have an opportunity to engage with peers from around the world. So you'll be interacting with people from the UK, from the US, from even Hong Kong, talking about their experiences, again, different age ranges. So there is a broad variety of opportunities for you to engage and open yourself up to different perspectives. And then finally, career support. So how do you apply what you have learned during this internship? So we do include career development workshops and of course very much career focused content so that you are able to effectively communicate what you've learned and used it to apply for a career in this industry or whichever industry you want to go into afterwards. So that we've tried to make this kind of internship as holistic as possible and focused on the kind of the current challenges of today. In terms of durations, we have various durations on offer. We have 40 hours, 80 hours, and 120 hours. And so each 40-hour duration is kind of built around one project or your project brief. We do have flexibility in terms of the study duration for that internship. Some of it is 20 hours per week. Again, for those of you who also have other things or studying, there's also 5 hours per week so that you can do it in a more flexible capacity. Yeah, and then so 2 weeks, 4 weeks, etc. And then again, of course, depending on your requirements, if you do have longer requirements, we can add additional hours and projects available. This is the fun part. I'm going to talk through some of the organizations that we've partnered with and give you an example of some of the masterclasses. So what does it look like a little bit more practically? And because GVI, we have locations around the world, we've been able to leverage our partnerships with organizations all over the world. So that, within an internship, you can, if you're doing a marine conservation internship, you can work with Seychelles National Parks Authority in the Seychelles, and then work with the Orca Foundation in South Africa. So you get a range of, so you get a breadth of experience and interact with different components within the subject area. So as I've mentioned, we've got Seychelles National Parks Authority. We also work with Seychelles Conservation and Climate Adaptation Trust, where we work with grant funding and a whole range of really exciting project briefs to help them with. Go to Samilian is based in Thailand, and they're actually a past intern of GVI who started their own organization focusing on diving. It's a diving school with a focus on conservation. We also have Ocean Pledge and Shark Guardian. We have an intern, and I'll touch on it a little bit more, who did some social media posts for this organization to raise awareness of to ban shark finning in the UK. And through the work that they did, helped to get enough support so that this was raised at Parliament in the UK. So these are the kind of, very important projects that you will be able to contribute to in your time on the internship. And then we've got a range of masterclasses. So we have a consultant from Nelson Mandela University who does strategy on marine spatial planning in the Western Indian Ocean. We also have Angelique Papon, she's the CEO at Seychelles, to talk about the work that they do there. So there's some very interesting people that you otherwise would not have an opportunity to engage with, and are very excited to talk about their work with you. Again, wildlife conservation. We work with Frigate Island Private on Seychelles. They work with the giant tortoises on some of the islands, so collecting data, analyzing data. Endangered Wildlife Trust in South Africa, again, working with vultures and analyzing data for them. There's Oana, Namibia, working right in the desert to help them raise, to collect data and kind of raise important information for the parks. Coastal Jaguar Conservation is a really unique organization. It is the only location in the world where they do research on the predation of turtles by jaguars. And so there's opportunities to work with them, and they do a lot of research in the Tortuguera National Park in Costa Rica. So that's an incredible opportunity to really support real research that is being conducted. Human rights, we have some incredible organizations. So the Message South Africa, they are train convicts and help to get them employment once they've, after their time in prison. Sasane is a women's empowerment organization in Nepal that is run by previously trafficked women to help kind of vulnerable women in the community. All for Villages provides, is an organization in Thailand that provides support for refugees. And then the Scalabrini also provides support for legal support for refugees in Cape Town. And then, so some of the masterclasses would be Laxmi from Sasane. She herself was previously trafficked, and she talks about her experience and how she is now helping women in her community, and kind of talks about some of the nuances around the human trafficking in Nepal. And then Tim Tucker, who founded the Message Trust South Africa and does a lot in terms of social upliftment in South Africa as well. Okay, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. So education for development, we have the Solarin Kampuchea schools in Cambodia. We actually had one of our interns who did a live virtual class for students at the school. But again, they teach both youth and parents, and also it's involved with, teaching parents skills to help them find employment. There's the New Light Foundation in Thailand, the Development Action Association in Ghana, which is an incredible organization that also helps women in the community to upskill themselves and to move away from fishing to finding other forms of employment. And then Welcome to My Yard, which is also in Nepal, provides training opportunities for youth who are homeless and who don't have any previous experience. Okay, and then Global Public Health. Again, we work with All for Villages. They provide, in addition to legal support, they also provide health for refugees who are otherwise not able to access healthcare in Thailand. We have TB, HIV care in South Africa. There is a massive issue with South Africa has a massive public health issue in terms of TB, HIV, and so you work with these organizations to kind of help them provide support in kind of rural communities around South Africa. And then FED is the Foundation for Education and Development. They are also a Thai organization that also provides support and access to healthcare for refugees in Thailand. And again, we can have some interesting masterclasses. So Peter Allison, although he is a guide and author, he also talks a lot about what healthcare can learn from animals. So what have we learned from kind of, things that we've learned from animals. Okay, and then social economic development. I'm not going to touch on this too much. Environment and corporate sustainability. So a lot of this focuses on waste management practices. And we talked to some incredible organizations such as Emile Fourie, who's co-founder of Why Waste, and implements a lot of waste reduction and recycling processes for organizations in South Africa. And then Ellie Gordon, she's a social media manager for the BBC, and talks about Spring Watch and how she uses social media to raise awareness for environmentalism. And then climate crisis and clean energy. We have organizations like CDS in Peru. There are a local empowerment organization that focuses on upcycling and upskilling women in the community to basically create their own social enterprises that focuses on sustainable tourism and working with the local environment to provide upliftment opportunities. Again, TerraCycle is a recycling organization. I believe they're from Australia. Very not that familiar with them. But then Breathe is a organization that raises awareness on climate crisis. And it's she is a swimmer. She's a South African swimmer, and she breaks world records. And then she also does like long distance swimming and to raise awareness of plastic pollution in the oceans. And so you can support some of her project work as well. Okay. And then, so those are the 8 subject areas, and just a kind of a very broad overview of some of the really interesting organizations that you can work with and some of the stakeholders that you can engage with on your time with us. Just to kind of give you an example about some of the past interns and the work that they've completed. So Olivia, she is from the US and actually used some of her her time on the virtual internship towards credits for her college course. And her project work revolved around championing a campaign for Shark Guardian to stop the transportation of shark fins in and out of the UK. So because of the COVID outbreak, Shark Guardian and other conservation organizations were limited to how they could educate people on the importance of this campaign due to COVID restrictions. And so they had to create a social media campaign. So she helped out with their project and their campaign. There were only 12,000 signatures on the petition, but thanks to Olivia and to other interns who've supported their work, they got over 100,000 signatures, which is the number needed for the issue to go to Parliament in the UK for debate. So hopefully we will get an update on whether that was banned. And then her work was also posted on Shark Guardian's Facebook page. She also completed, so I think she completed 2 or 3 projects. She also worked with the Go-To-Somalian and helped them on their website content. So as I mentioned previously, they're a dive school based in Thailand, focused on conservation diving and coral research projects. So through a combination of prior knowledge and research, Olivia produced a blog about the detrimental effects of plastic pollution, which was also posted on their website. So this was a unique opportunity for Olivia. And I think what's most important is that the supervisor was fantastic, of course, but all the projects were interesting and relevant to her future career. And then, so from Shark Guardian, again, very helpful in terms of supporting the work that they're doing. I don't have time to run through the wildlife conservation one or the global public health one, but we will be uploading this presentation onto the virtual page. So I'm just going to jump to the next part. Because we understand that the virtual internship is not quite the same as an in-country program, we do provide grants. So if you complete an internship, you do have a grant towards a long-term in-country internship so that you are able, once the borders open again, we want to help you travel in-country and hopefully interact face-to-face with some of the people that you've worked with previously. And then in terms of our in-country internships, so we have internships in all the locations that I've mentioned, ranging from, again, similar subject areas, but again, focusing on community development and environmental conservation programs. And yes, all of our, similarly to our virtual internship programs, we do offer 360-degree support to make sure that you are kind of supported throughout the process. You'll also gain valuable experience that will help you improve your employability. And then we also guarantee that you will make a difference. And a lot of, as I've said before, quite a number of our past interns have either gone on to work with GVI or have gone on to kind of start their own organizations within marine and within environmental conservation and community development. So what we are excited to share is that we are slowly but surely opening up our locations around the world. So this month, next month, Seychelles, our hub in Curious, Seychelles will be opening. And then we've got some plans for Thailand, Nepal, South Africa, Costa Rica, and Mexico to also open towards the end of the year. And then early next year, we'll also be opening further hubs in Thailand. We'll also be opening up in Laos, Peru, Cusco, and Greece. And then still finalizing Fiji, Cambodia, and India. It is exciting that we are opening up and these programs will be available, again, subject to travel restrictions. But yeah, I think that's kind of I think that's just what I wanted to share with you in terms of our in-country programs. We have a lot more information available on our online website where you can also apply. If you do apply, you will get hold of an enrollment manager who will guide you through the process, talk through any questions you might have, and also kind of give you up-to-date information about hub opening, travel restrictions, and all those kind of important components to consider. So yeah, so I will open it up then to any questions.
Nicole, thank you so much for sharing the incredible opportunities available through GVI. And it's really amazing to see all the partnerships that y'all have developed around the world for your community development and environmental conservation. So that's pretty incredible. I do have a few questions for you. You mentioned course credit a little bit. So for GVI programs, are students able to earn credit through GVI, or is that something they need to work with their home department or university to obtain credit?
Yes, so unfortunately, we do not offer credit for our programs, but they are credit bearing. So some of the universities that we work through, we have been approved for credit for. However, for any students, we would recommend working through their university or their home department. We can assist with any kind of information to apply for that process. So we can offer syllabus and online course material so that to support that process.
Wonderful. Another question we often get from departments that students are earning internship credit, for example, is being able to get some sort of review from the supervisor. Is that something GVI could assist with as well?
Yes, I'm actually so pleased you asked that question. So as part of the internship, because they do work with one supervisor throughout their internship, at the end of the internship, the supervisor does provide an online testimonial for the student, but they can also then provide a testimonial for the department.
Wonderful. And final question, can you give us an idea of the cost of experiences? I know the links vary and it'll also vary by location, but if we're looking at maybe a virtual internship that's 20 hours a week, what would that cost look like? And then an in-country experience, I think you said the Seychelles was the one that's currently open. What would kind of the cost look like for students to have an idea of what to expect?
Sure. So it ranges from about 1,500 to up to a little bit over that, just to about under 2,500 for a program. That's for the virtual programs. And then the in-country programs, unfortunately, that ranges a lot depending on duration, the country, the type of project work that they're doing.
Great. And then, like you mentioned, the PowerPoint is going to be uploaded to the virtual booth that we have on the Education Abroad website, so students can go to see the full PowerPoint presentation as well as this video. Those are all the questions that I have, unless there's anything else you'd like to share before we stop the recording.
No, I think we've covered most of the important parts. Thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole.
Oh, thank you, Katie.